Morning. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited today to have with me Dr. Wissam. He mastered internal medicine in the University of Toronto, and he's here today to share his experience. Welcome, Dr. Wissam.
Yeah, hello everyone. Actually, it's my pleasure to be with you today, Dr. Robin. And yeah, it's one of the things, the Canadian experience is not that easy, and like a lot of the people in the pool, their struggles, and I was there, so I'll be more than happy to help them out. Let's see.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Okay, so let's get into one of the things. Tell me, where did you do your medical school, and when did you come to Canada?
Okay, so I'm originally from Egypt, so I have done my medical school in Cairo University. I was graduated back in 2016, like that's the year that I finished my internship. And then, yeah, I worked there for maybe up until December 2019. And then in January 2020, I came here in Canada.
Okay, so 2019, you arrived here in Canada, and like the plan for you was like, I'm gonna go to Canada, I'm gonna do my residency there, right?
To be honest with you, no, it was not that clear to me back then. Like after graduation, I was struggling for maybe 1 year. What's my pathway? Am I going to continue in Egypt? Am I going to travel? But to be honest with you, like I'm a person who has been grown on different, like in Saudi Arabia, so I didn't live in Egypt except the years of the medical school. So yeah, I was thinking like I will be like I'll be more comfortable outside, but where should I go? And that was the main question for me. And actually, like I was thinking about the PLAB that I've been thinking about the Step to CK by the American pathway. So I take the IELTS back then, like in a purpose like to apply for the PLAB, but I didn't eventually. And I also took the Step to CK back then. Just like to open so I was struggling which way I'm going to do, but I was working. So I was take the IELTS, take the Step to CK, preparing for the back then the MCCQ, no MCCEE, something like that. But
Yeah,
I didn't apply
exactly.
for that. Yeah. So I kept my options open up until I decided, okay, let's go to Canada. I have the better view there, and it was a great choice. It was a pretty good
Nice,
choice for me.
nice. So to summarize, you did your med school in Egypt and you did your residency. So you completed residency.
No, I didn't apply for residency back in
So you
Egypt. It
did
was like, like I have done my internship. I finished my internship, but with the residency, like I was struggling. Like I took back in Egypt like the first few months of residency and like ENT. But I know back then that I wouldn't take the ENT in Egypt. So I was focusing more and more on studying to take the step like outside Egypt.
Gotcha. So just to clarify for our listener, like medical schools in different countries are different, and some medical school you do 1 year of intern year without applying to residency. That's a transition between medical school and residency. Am I right?
Yes, that's it.
And so you arrived here. Can I ask you, like, did you arrive like as a permanent resident through express entry? Like, what was the pathway?
And actually, that's the thing that pushed me towards Canada. So, I met my wife in 2018, and she is like a Canadian citizen, she's an Egyptian, but she carries the Canadian citizenship. So, okay, so we got married back, like eventually in 2019. Okay, and that's the moment that I know, okay, you have to focus now on the Canadian pathway more
Denmark.
than anything else. Yeah.
Family come first. I agree with you. Okay.
Yeah.
So you arrived here as a permanent resident. Okay.
Yes.
So that was in 2019.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
2019.
So let me put myself in your shoes. I arrived here in 2019. I'm an IMG, and I want to start my journey toward CaRMS and the Canadian residency. What was the first thing you did at that time?
So I landed in January 2020, like the 1st of January 2020, and like I took maybe a few months, maybe 3 to 4 months, just to accommodate to the new environment surrounding me. My English back then, it was good. Like I took the IELTS, but like the communication skills, how to talk, how to express my feelings, that was extremely difficult to me. So I took a few months just to try to accommodate to the new findings. And then like maybe after 3 to 4 months, I started, okay, now I have to focus on my career. So the first thing that I but I noticed that like to apply to for the CaRMS, you have to at least have the Canadian experience, just like an electives or whatsoever. And unfortunately, back then in my country, I didn't have that chance to like to do an electives. So what's my other option? So I searched for it and I found that if I maybe work as a medical assistant for different doctors at the Canadian medical system, that will be give me more credits at the resume. So eventually, like I applied for multiple of them, but I didn't get that chance to work with either of the doctors that I applied for. But suddenly, like I was looking at something in Kijiji, and then I found a spot about the doctor cardiology who was searching for medical assistants in Kijiji. So I applied, I sent the resume. He told me to come and interview me. I done the interview, and back then, to be honest with you, I was not thinking like I didn't know, is it like a volunteering position? Is it like paid position? I didn't know that. And actually, I worked with him for a month, and I didn't know either. Am I volunteering or am I work? And I didn't ask. I just want to work. I just want to meet the patient. I just want the Canadian experience on my resume. So I didn't I didn't put it up to the doctor. Like, am I going to be paid or not? But eventually, after the month, he called me and they said, okay, you are now with me. You are starting to work. So the first month it was volunteering, but after that I was getting paid from him. And actually, to be honest, that is the most important steps in my career that I took in Canada. Like this doctor, he's very good. I really admire him. He's the person who opened all the steps for me. So like he transferred his experience. He was an IMG as well, but that was
Okay.
back. Yeah, that was back in 1993, 1994, something like that. And so he gave me all the experience that I need, all the information that I need. Where should I work? Where should I increase the strength of my resume? Yeah, and like from there, everything has opened. So he told me to go to work with other family doctors. So like he's the one who told me you have to have at least 3 doctors to have 3 reference letters for for the CaRMS application. So he is the one who told me go there, go to the other doctor. He sent like messages for them to accept me, and they accepted me. And eventually, like I was working for 3 of them, so for him and for 2 other family physicians during the period from let's say December 2020 to just before I applied for the CaRMS. That was maybe like January 2022, something like that. Yeah.
That's so nice. Thank you so much for sharing this. I just want to comment on this. I'm so happy for you. Like, you were really lucky in this experience. Like, I can share my experience. Like, when I arrived first, like as an international medical graduate, when you come and land in Canada, like you have those fears, and you're not sure how the system works, and you just want to put your hands on anything, get your
Yes.
feet wet, right? So unfortunately, like sometimes, like people go and work for months and months and months and months, and they don't get any letter, and they don't even get paid.
Yeah.
So make sure you know who you are working with. And even if you are international medical graduate, but you are still a human being and you have your rights, ask like what. So for you, in your case, you did not ask, and like thanks that you were lucky. But like make sure like if you're applying to a job or a position, like ask what is the end of this. Is it like a training? Is it volunteering? Is it a job? Is it? And yeah, I know many people who also were lucky. So I think Kijiji is a good place to start to find a
Yeah,
like
I totally agree.
exactly, right? Because like there are many physicians are looking for help, and like if you have a medical background, like it's gonna make things much more easier. And that's my goal too. Like going forward, I want to create a website where I can bring IMGs and physicians who are looking to hire a physician assistant together, so to help them gain more assistance. Anyways, so you worked through this experience, and from what you told me, you gained Canadian experience, and also the physicians gave you the letter of reference, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. The 3
Cool.
of them.
Okay. So that part is covered. And let's talk about what did you do next? So you got this position. What was the next thing that you focused on?
Okay. So that's would cover the Canadian experience, but it will not cover the studying and the examination. And the grades that you got in the exams are very important. And I knew that with a hard way. Yeah, so like back in Egypt in 2019, I took my exams for the Step 2 CK as well as the MCCQE back then. And to be honest with you, my grades in the MCCQE was not that good. Actually, it was bad. To be honest, it was bad. But that gave me the chance, like while I'm doing my work as a medical assistant, okay, I have to study more harder, like just to make sure that in my NAC-OSCe examination, I will have the highest grade that I can ever get, like to compensate for the low grades in the MCCQE. And actually that happened. And to be honest with you, I took the NAC-OSCe examination twice. The first time it was not that good, so I didn't apply. I knew back then that my chances like applying with the low grades in NAC-OSCE as well as the MCCP one will be extremely low. So I have done my best on the second time on the studying for the NAC-OSCE, and I got one of the highest score in the NAC-OSCE in the second. If for the curve that will be like the third SD, and that will be my grade in the NAC-OSCE examination, the last one. I strongly believe that that's the thing that like gave me the chance to have an interview in the University of Toronto. With regard to the process itself, so with regard to the studying, I was so I applied for like even like while I was still in Egypt, we have something called the Dr. Basil notes. And back then I didn't know who is Dr. Basil by the way, but yeah, it's extremely popular in Egypt, like for studying for the Step 2 CS, not for the Canadian pathway. So yeah, many of my colleagues were studying from Dr. Basil notes, but I didn't know that that's his Dr. Basil notes. So yeah, when I came here in Canada and landed in Toronto, so I was started searching for the for the courses for the NAC-OSCE. And I found, okay, there is Dr. Basil with AMCA. And then I searched more. Okay, that's the person that I was studying from his notes back in Egypt. Okay, let's try him. And actually, like I got one. So I started like attending with the AMCA and Dr. Basil, and eventually I got with them for the NAC-OSCE examination. And actually, like to be honest with you, like AMCA and Dr. Basil provide you with the essentials for the NAC-OSCE. They provide you with the basics to cover the basics, to cover the differential. But yeah, they have done a very good job on that point. But you have to build yourself by yourself. Like even if it's a very good course, you have to like to search more, to study more. So yeah, that's what I was doing. And actually, to have a study partner, that's the key. I would say that's the key for the for getting a high score. So luckily I applied with my sister. So like both of us were studying. And my sister, she's very good. She studied very hard and she keep push me again and again. And eventually both of us have matched in the residency because of that. So yeah, study partner
She matched as well?
Yeah, both of us matched.
What
Yeah.
did she match in?
She matched for family medicine at London.
That's so cool.
Yeah, yeah, that's what we thought.
Wow,
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. Actually, it was a very good experience, to be honest. Like both of us
Thank
matched.
you so much for sharing it. Just a
Yeah.
disclaimer for all the listeners, like this is Sam's experience, and we are not trying to advertise to anyone. So for
No.
so every person who applied to CaRMS, they have their unique experience, and they're free to share their experience. So that's a first disclaimer. Disclaimer number two: the NAC-OSCE is really important. Like it's really one of my favorite Canadian exams because it really builds you as a great diagnostician. It teaches you how to take history, how to ask, and how to approach your investigations. And that's what I find it different between the Canadian and the American system. That in Canada they have much more emphasis on history taking when compared to the American equivalent, the Step 2 CS. I find their questions are more broad, but this is still a good example. I really like the NAC-OSCE more. And the third thing I want to just comment on, like partners. I still remember when I applied, like 90% of my success was because of my partner. She was great. She helped me really study hard. And then I had other partners as well, a study group. They really pushed me so hard, and we each push each other. Like the NAC-OSCE, you can't, it's just like not the regular exam. You open MCQs, you solve MCQs, or it's not the exam, you open a book, you learn by yourself. It's a practice.
Yeah.
All right. So
totally.
Thank you so much. We talked about the exam. So you took the MCCQE1, you took the NAC-OSCE.
Yep.
So now we have Canadian experience, 3 letters of reference. We have your PR. you have the Canadian exams. What else? What else should I do now?
Okay, so actually for internal medicine, like the research field is extremely important. That's what, yeah, that's what I know from my experience. I know there's different stories, but like from the question that I have asked to my friends who have been matched, all of them got the research. And actually, like I back in Egypt, I didn't have the chance to like I worked with the like some kind of what I can call it's not a research officially, but like I was helping with some stem cells papers with regard to like differentials and treatment with the stem cells back in Egypt, but I didn't publish any papers back then. But I know like when I was reviewing my resume and CV, I have a like I have the fact in that field and I have to work with it. And actually like suddenly while I was working in the clinic, my doctor got a call from a cardiologist who works at St. Michael Hospital that there's 5 research or 5 studies that he would like and that my doctor to be involved in it with regard into the cardiovascular diseases and respiratory treatments. And like back then he looked at me, Sam, are you ready for that? They have the chance to do. Are you asking? Yeah, definitely. I would like to do that, but it will be putting more load on you. I told him I would stay to 12 p.m. at the clinic, like after the work, just for the research. Yeah. So I got the chance to participate in the 5 studies with the doctors who work at St. Michael Hospital as a cardiologist, and that was my chance. So yeah, I worked, and eventually I was able to participate in this study, and actually I put it in my resume, and I believe that was also one of the reasons why they chose me that time.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate your honesty. Thank you so much. So, just to like close the loop here, did you publish that paper or was it reserved?
No, no, not yet. Actually, not yet. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I want to comment on. Like, I get lots of messages from IMGs. I was like, I have no publications. Like, it's not about the publications.
Yeah.
Publishing research take years. Watch my last interview with Dr. Gia. I've been working on a manuscript for the last 3 years. It takes, but it is just showing that you care.
Yeah.
You have an experience. You know how to read a paper. You know how to extract data. You are organized. You show some, right? Like
Yeah.
it's
And
not
that's the secret.
it's showing the
No.
experience.
Yeah, yeah. You have to show them in your resume that you are eager to do the research studies, that maybe you didn't have the chance back home to participate.
Yeah.
But if you have the environment that may help you to do that, show them that you will be eager to do more and more work just to be there for the studies and the research field. And I think that's the secret for the research. I totally agree with you.
I agree with you. When I applied, I think you are a bit more lucky than me because like I had zero experience with research and I could not find the studies. But now looking backward, I think if I put some effort, like if you sometimes they look like many people I've interviewed on this channel, they have research experience, and this is like because like you can just Google search research assistant jobs and
Yes.
you can find it. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
all there. Alrighty. So you got the research. We talked about the exams. What else? How did you make your CV desirable for the University of Toronto?
Yeah, so with like now I completed all my everything, and now again my next step is now to make my resume good, looks good more than the others. So like I started working on the resume immediately after I took my second NAC-OSCe examination. So I started like gathering all the data, all the information, and wrote it down in the resume and CV. Then I showed the resume to my 3 doctors that I'm working with. I showed it to the group in the AMCA. I showed it to like many different people to take different opinions, and then eventually after like listening to all the opinions. And by the way, not all of the opinions will be confidence filled. Like you may listen to all of them, but you have to pick which opinion are you going to demonstrate in your resume and CV. Yeah, so eventually maybe by the end of let's say December, yeah, last year I was able to solidify my resume. So I built it up, what I'm going to write it down, what the experiences I'm going to delete, what the experience I'm going to add. Yeah, so that's what they got to the resume. So I asked many people. I asked the AMCA opinion, I asked my doctor's opinion, and I asked also some people from PIMO. So yeah, you have to listen to as much as you can from the people around you and then make your opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like there is no single way to write your CV. and I'm releasing a YouTube video next week about this topic, and I'm creating a course about the CV. Like there are hundreds ways of to skin a cat, right?
Yeah.
So different people have different styles, but there is a general approach to the CV. And again, it depends on the job that you're or the residency you're applying to and your skills. Okay, so let's talk about some details about the CV. Volunteering. Did you do any volunteering?
Actually, yeah, I have like, but I didn't do volunteering in Canada, but I have a long history of volunteering back in Egypt for more than 14 years. So yeah,
Cool.
yeah, and actually that's one of the things that they asked me about in the interview, about my volunteering years, because like during my personal statement, yeah, so I got this idea from one of my friends who have been matched in US that you have to build your personal statement and, by the way, your resume on a certain idea and then started building on it. So I know from my experience that with regard to the volunteering experience, that will be the main point for me, and that's the thing that will be distinguish me from different applicants. So I have a long history of volunteering back in Egypt, maybe for 14 years, and most of them were in the medical field. Like even when I was still a student after graduation, just before I came here to Canada, I was still volunteering. So that's the thing that I made sure in the resume, in my personal statement, even in the reference letter, I asked the doctors before they wrote it down to highlight that I have skills in the volunteering field. Um, yeah, and that's the thing.
Is it okay if I ask, so like, what did you volunteer like
Yeah,
back?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So back in Egypt, we have something called like an organization called Risala, and actually, Risala is one of the biggest organization in the volunteering field in Egypt. So it had different like departments. One of them was the medical field. So we usually organize like weekly, like medical caravans to certain parts in Egypt or in Cairo with the that they don't have access to the medical health system. So we brought the doctors, we brought the pharmacists, the medicine to them, and then we organize like a campus to see the patient, to provide them with the medications, and to make sure that they have a certain follow-ups with doctors in nearby. And I have done that, as I mentioned, for more than 14 years, alongside with different types of volunteering, like food, shelters. So yeah, it's a big organization in Egypt that has like unlimited access to the volunteering field. If you would like to teach someone, you will have the opportunity to go there to teach like the youngsters, like in the school, like let's say science, you can teach them that. For the poor people, you can go provide them with shelters, food.
Cool, cool,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
And what about like conferences? Like, did you do attend conferences, continue medical education?
Yeah, in my internship, I have the opportunity to like to participate in two conferences and to present in two of them. Like, and that's also was related to my stem cell
And that was back home,
research.
right?
That was back home. I didn't do anything in Canada except the medical assistant and the 5 studies. Yeah.
Cool. So I want to highlight something really important from your experience, that even experiences that are not Canadian, but like they show your advocacy
Yeah.
and they show your scholar attributes. So those are important parts of the candidate roles, can be used, right? Like you did not have the time to attend the conferences, but like again, you can put them in your CV. You did not have the time to do an advocacy in Canada, but you did that in your back in country and shows an attribute. This is a transferable skill from back Egypt to Canada. Okay.
Yes.
So are there any is there anything else do you think really help you to match other than the factors that we talked about?
Um, I would say no, that covers most of the things that came in my mind. But to be honest, like with regard to the internal medicine specifically, I'm not talking about the family medicine, but I'm talking about the internal medicine specifically. They wouldn't focus on your grades more than your interpersonal skills. So you have to show them in the resume and the CV and the personal statement what are the interpersonal skills that you had and what experience that you have encountered in your life that you can plot it in the Canadian medical system. Yeah, you have to make sure that if you have any of them, to put them like in a certain way, so make sure they will understand your messages. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So now we created a nice package. We created a nice CV. We worked really hard on it. We applied to CaRMS. Tell me about your CaRMS experience. If it is okay with you,
Yeah,
how
yeah, yeah,
much
sure.
did you apply? how the interview went? Like, tell me whatever you like to share with the
Yeah,
audience.
yeah, sure. So after after the end of the application for the CaRMS, we were waiting for the interviews. And to be honest with you, like for university, like to be yeah, so I got only one interview for internal medicine at University of Toronto. That's the only thing that I got from the interviews. And to be honest, yeah, it came on the last day of the waiting period. So you have maybe a couple of 2 to 3 weeks between the end of the CaRMS application to the deadline of the interviews to be sent to the applicants. So on the last day of the deadline, they send an interview to me with regard to the internal medicine, University of Toronto. So yeah, it was in a hectic. I think yeah, it wasn't easy, yeah, to pass through these 2 3 weeks. But once I got the interview, okay, you have to work harder. You have only one interview, you have only one shot. And actually back then, like Eminem have like some kind of a song
Exactly.
like
I
you
was
have
like
one
thinking of
shot.
that.
Yeah, it was ringing in my
Exactly.
ear
It's one
again and
shot.
again. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so you got now your shot. Make sure that you will not miss it, and I didn't miss it. So I worked even harder. I brought all the questions. So first I got all the questions from different sources from Anka, whatsoever source that you can grab questions from, take it, and then after that try to build up your answers for each one of these questions. So I took these steps maybe for a few days. I answered all the questions that I got, and then now it's time to practice on the interview. So contacted different people on different groups on the Facebook, and yeah, so I contacted every and each person that I can talk to make an interview with me. So I have done maybe more than 10, 12 interviews with different people. And actually some of them I have done twice with them, just to make sure that okay, again, listen to every will be mentioned, like it will be mentioned to you, take their opinions, but you have again and again to build your, because you are the only one who knows your strength and you knows your weakness, how to cover this. Yeah, so after like making all the interviews, I finalized my answering for the questions and how should I provide the answers to the because it's somehow like some kind of an acting, how to, you have the answer, but what is the best way to say it in front of the people interviewing you. Yeah, so yeah, and I think it worked well. And again, like in my interview, they asked about my resume and CV, they asked my experience back in Egypt. I think it wasn't like formal interview. They about what this is study for, what are you like. If you didn't ask any clinical questions, it was more focusing on the interpersonal skills that you can brought to the like for me to University of Toronto. You make sure that you'll be a good resident. You can make decision in the like in the field that will be more than yeah, asking medical questions whatsoever.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing all this. Like, I'm amazed. Like many people I interviewed on this channel, they only had one interviews, and that was their shot.
Yeah,
That's even inspiring for me. That's even inspiring for me. Like, it's amazing, right? Like, people get sometimes like, um, they get sad when they don't get interviews. They only get one, but like, you never know. You never know.
yeah.
Cool. Okay. Any last words from your experience? If you're going to summarize it like in 30 seconds to 1 minute, what would you say?
Yeah, I would say just make sure that you do your best, and don't ever lose hope. You'll have your chance, but you have to make sure that you'll be ready to grab that chance. So yeah, if you didn't do the exams yet, make sure that you have a high grade, because that will be make your journey more easier than mine. If you have opportunities to participate in research, go for it. If you don't have research, search for it and look for it, and asking, like, if you are working as a medical assistant, ask your doctor specifically, do you have any chance to participate in the medical research field. So my point is, don't stand still. You have to work harder and harder, look for opportunities everywhere. And literally every, like, to, if you want to be involved in the Canadian medical, to grab every chance in front of you and search for it. And eventually you have your chance, even if it's one chance, but it will be enough for you, and make sure that will be enough for you. Yeah.
That's so sweet. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you so much for sharing this. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate taking the day on the weekend from your time to share this. I'm sure that many people will find this helpful. Thank you so much. Please, guys, if you have any comments, leave them below. If you have anything, any questions, you can always email me. My email is everywhere. And subscribe to the channel, follow my Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and have a great day. Stay tuned for the next interview. Thank you so much again, Dr. Isam. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Roupen. Okay.